Yeah, point today, 2 points dropped. Probably a deserved point in the end up. We didn't have our A game today. Rovers probably would agree with that. It just was not our day. Unfortunately, so we're up a man there for majority of the second half. Can't thread the needle. Can't see it through. Preston, credit where credit's due. They play us hard. It's a proper derby. Lancashire pride on the line. And, you know, the Lily Whites stand up tall there against us. Down a man there. And unfortunately so. Our biggest chance, I think, had to be in the first half with Hedges' big strike, but the rebound comes to Dolan. Dolan on the post on the right side. And, God, disappointing. That could have been our 3 points right there and would have really set us up for the second half there, put the foot on the gas, but not meant to be again today. Preston holds on. You see this new manager, Heckenbottom, coming in, and it's a different Preston now and a lot harder to play. So big shout out though. Hats off to Pears. I would say Rovers player of the match today. He's played big against Bristol last week, stepped up big again today, and we've given him a lot of slack there past couple of months, but Toth comes in. He signed a couple of weeks ago, the Hungarian, and now Pears is on his A game. He's in between the sticks, and he solidified his spot another week. We looked at QPR, Coventry, and Plymouth in the upcoming weeks, and hopefully he can do the same there. And hopefully we can take advantage. We've got some teams now down and around the relegation zone there. I think it's like 14th, 19th, and 20th respectively. So we've got to go in there. Pears have got to keep it up. And we got to right the ship here. We get the draw. We get a point today. We're still in 4th place, but hopefully we can get our groove back and, be more clinical. Hopefully it was not just a couple of sporadic weeks there for Yuki and the guys who have all been contributing, but they can get back to business as usual next week and maybe get the confidence up against these couple teams here. But yeah, Pears, great. Dolan with a chance there. And of course, the Beck incident. Foolish, yes, by Beck. You can't be doing that. It's fine. He'll learn from it. He got a red, so I guess he won't be there. He won't be available next week, which is unfortunate. Top class player there, so needed. But after the Beck incident, I forget his name there. It's the biting incident. It's animalistic, crazy. What does your fellow teammates say to you in the locker room afterwards? It's unbelievable. Ref misses it. I remember I didn't see it on the initial. All I saw was Beck wording, he bit me, and I was like, Beck is wording, he bit me. And you thought that was weird, but then the replay and you saw it all over social media, and unbelievable. I think again, I think a point was deserved. I think we had our chance at 3 points before that. If we were to really digest it, the upper man for most of that, you got to capitalize on that. You can't have excuses. But yeah, hats off to Pears. We go again next week. We did good work against Bristol, Burnley, the Canaries, so forth, and we got to keep going. We got to build ourselves back up again. We can't fall into, this lull here. Let's come back, learn from this, better from it. And, substitution-wise, you look at John Eustace. I thought Big Mac coming in for Baker there, after he took that bad hit there to have Greenwood sent out, I thought Big Mac was all right. He just couldn't stay on sides, just missing the mark there. If he would have had maybe a couple more chances if he had stayed on side. But yeah, and then Weeman, I thought Cantwell could have done a little bit more. But yeah, it just wasn't our day. We'll come back from this. We'll go again next week. Be with Philly Rovers, Roverseas YouTube channel. Peace out, guys.
Okay, I thought about doing bullet points, but I'm just going off the cuff with this. It's been a long time for me. I haven't done one of these for a while. So, a quick recap. So, before the international break, we got that draw with Burnley, which was amazing. Andy Wyman, the hero. Instant legend status achieved with that wonder strike to get us a point at Burnley. And then international break followed, and then we came back and we played Bristol City last week, and it was a really good performance, great captain's performance, I thought, from Lewis Travis, and getting that goal. He mentioned in an interview that he wanted to get goals, so he got that goal, so that was brilliant. And then Yukio Hashi got a couple of goals. So that was the Bristol City convincing 3-0. So on the back of that, and it was a measure of revenge, possibly, for last season. I was at the game where we lost 5-0 to Bristol City. So I'm glad I always want Rovers to win. So yeah, I wanted the 5-0, but that's, to match what they did to us, but we'll take 3-0 all day long. So on the back of that good performance and good victory, Yukio Hashi started again today, and it was an unchanged lineup, if I remember rightly. And it was a real tense encounter, a typical derby, like real heated derby against Preston. Arguably even more than the Burnley game. It was on a physical front with the fouls and the tackles. There was even more of that. So it was that kind of derby. It was like a battle. It was a battlefield out there. Yeah, but both sides went at it, but the quality was lacking. Preston will probably feel like they had better clear-cut chances or more opportunities than we had. The one clear-cut opportunity I can remember for Rovers, just one, was for Dolan when he hit the post. Hedges had a good strike. Goalie parried it, and it fell to Dolan. Goalie parried it to the left, fell to Dolan, and Dolan struck the post. And I want to know. I just want to know that Dolan is, working on his finishing. Because I just feel like I know he's not a striker, but yeah, if he only had that striker's finishing like Yukio Hashi, that would have been, I feel like that would have been a goal. It was close. Don't get me wrong, he was close, but if he'd hit it sweeter, I feel like that would have been a goal. But anyway, the major talking points of this match were the red cards. Quite an early red card for Preston. It was an early red card. It was about 20. I don't know. It was about 20 minutes in, something like that. I'm guesstimating, but I don't have all the details right here with me right now. Sorry, apologies. Yeah, anyway, they were a large proportion of this game. Preston were down to 10 men. Massive proportion of the game. And you would feel like Blackburn Rovers, we should have won it because of that. But I would say Preston know how to play with 10 men. They're a very physical side. They're very tight. Good man-to-man marking. Disciplined. Keep their shape. Keep a good defensive line. Talking about that, McTaguy, as I like to call him, was caught offside numerous times because they play such a good defensive line, and he was unlucky with that. Yeah, and I'm desperate for him to score. Really am desperate for him to score in the league. I think, as we all are, I'm sure. Anyway, so Preston were very, very solid, and Blackburn struggled to break them down. I felt like we were a bit lacking in the final third. The creativity was low, and we didn't have that final ball, that through ball, that pass that's going to make all the difference, and it just wasn't there today for some reason. I don't know why. And maybe that had something to do with how Preston was so disciplined and tight, and there wasn't a lot of space. To be creative, you do need a bit of space, and that wasn't really there. So that probably was a big factor. But so both sides were evenly matched. But Rovers, with the extra man and the substitutions, Eustace made lots of attacking substitutions. He was very brave. He brought on Kozia Dewberry, Wyman, and he really went for it. And there was one point where, there was a fair amount of the game where it was Yukio Hashi behind McTaguy. And that's what we've been screaming out for, that, and he was really going for it. So we had that going on. We had attacking players, extra attacking players. He took off Tronstad, and he put on Cantwell, and we really went for it. And we created more. So they created more, Blackburn Rovers, but they couldn't create enough. They couldn't create any more clear-cut opportunities. So that was disappointing. And it got heated, it got feisty, lots and lots of yellow cards. They had their red card in the first half early on for a heavy tackle, which was dangerous play on Baker. So they rightly went down to 10 men. And then right towards the end of the game, around the 85th minute, Owen Beck, unfortunately, reacted badly and kicked out a player, and he was sent off for that. So there was a foul, and then it all kicked off, and it was like a mini battlefield, literally. And then Owen Beck just kicked out at a player that obviously pissed him off. It was just heated. It's typical Derby, without Derby. But it was just, yeah, it was heavy, man. It was heavy. It was heavy duty. But anyway, so Owen Beck did this, kicked out. He's a young player who's going to learn. I can think of it like David Beckham when he kicked out. He'll learn. It was unfortunate, but he's a young man, and he's not We can't expect him to be the finished article on all fronts. And in a heated derby, passion gets the better of you, and things like that happen. So I fully excuse that. But I cannot excuse the Preston player, I don't know what his name was, but I cannot excuse the Preston player to reacting to Beck, a young player. He's a boy, effectively, and this guy, he looked like a man. Anyway, he looked like a scary man. Anyway, he put his head down on Owen Beck's back, the top of his back, and bit him, apparently. That's what I've heard on Sky. So he bit him well, I don't know if it was brutally, but it could have been brutal, like a werewolf in a horror movie. It could have been. So poor Owen Beck, he's gone through that trauma. He's through the trauma of, well, he did kick out another player, so he created a little bit of trauma there. But then the trauma of the red card, and then having the trauma of like this animalistic man biting on him. So I feel like retrospectively that guy needs to get a very long ban for biting, like Luis Suarez got, like 10 matches. So I hope that happens. It's all the Sky cameras got it, so there's no excuse for that not to happen. So ultimately we go away from the battlefield or the football pitch. In this, it's literally a football pitch, obviously. But I think they go away feeling like it's a point at Deepdale. That's respectable. Very respectable. Very respectable. Just a shame that while they had 11 men against 10, they couldn't take the advantage and get a goal to win the game. But as I say, Preston played very well. Paul Heckingbottom's got them sorted, I think. They're definitely looking like they're going in the right direction, and I think they'll be fine. And they are no pushovers at all. So Blackburn Rovers did well. When you consider everything, they did well under the circumstances to get a point, and we're unbeaten in the league. So bring on the next one. And I'm hoping it won't be as tough a fight as that one was. Up the Rovers, come on!
So, Blackburn Rovers 0, Preston 0. Just done finishing a podcast with Dirk and the crew. So hopefully don't sound like a bit of a broken record, because obviously, we've touched on this game today. But a really frustrating one today, in truth. Other than Blackpool in the cup, the worst performance of the season, the worst league performance of the season. I think that'd be fair to say. To be honest, probably Preston were the better side. Is a draw a fair result? Probably. I don't think Preston did enough to win the game by any means, but if they'd got a winner, I probably couldn't have felt too aggrieved. Just simply because we offered not much today. Really frustrating, and obviously we have the best chance of the game. Dolan hits the post after a Hedges shot that gets parried out. But other than that, nothing of note. In terms of chances for us, Preston have a few half chances, I suppose. Pez, having to scramble to make a couple good saves. He probably saved us a point today. No wonder saves by any means, but a couple saves that needed to be made, and he did just that. I think the main talking point of this game is the Owen Beck red cards, obviously the first red as well, which at first look in the ground and probably on replay, I think it's a red personally. I think it's a rash challenge that did not need making. And yeah, just overly aggressive, and had already been warned by the referee when Greenwood had a bit of a spat with Beck, I believe, and he had a talking to with both of them, and funnily enough, in the end, it's Beck and Greenwood who both get sent off. But yeah, I think the red card was just, but from my observations anyway, it seems that he's gone in at half time, had a rewatch, and mustn't have thought it was a red, because the referee was completely against us second half. That was very frustrating of itself, and that's not the reason why we didn't win this game. Definitely not. We just weren't good enough today. But the referee, the second half was abysmal, in my opinion. Todd Cantwell gets booked for it's not even a foul, in my opinion. Never mind a booking. I could not understand the logic at all, and yeah, just every single chance Preston got to time waste, as you would expect. We were guilty of this away at Burnley, probably not to the same extent as Preston were today at home, but probably shows a state of where they are this season. Let's throw a little dig in there. Obviously, playing a team that is fourth in the league right now. So yeah, I mean, Woodman was an absolute embarrassment in my opinion. And yeah, you probably could have added on 10 minutes at the end, never mind 6. But yeah, a tricky affair, and a game that I genuinely did go into thinking we're going to turn these over today, and it's a bit demoralising that we just weren't at the races today. But you're going to have games like that where you're going to play poorly. You're not going to play brilliantly every game, and if you're going away from home against a rival and you're getting a 0-0, you're getting a draw, and you're playing as poorly as we did, and Preston, to be fair to him, defended really well, didn't give us much, as I said, then yeah, I think you've kind of got to be happy with a draw. For a team like us, we are not going to be blowing every side out of the water every week. I think personally, starting Yuki was a mistake. I looked at this game and I thought, get Big Mac up top. The way he played against Burnley, yes, he got sent off, but the way he played against Burnley, he sets up Vyman's goal, and he was just a presence. He wasn't allowing the Burnley defence to bully him, and unfortunately Yuki was getting bullied today, I thought. And I can understand we've just smashed Bristol 3-0. You don't change your winning side and all this, but you're going away to Preston. It's a different sort of encounter to Bristol at home, and I thought it was a little naive, in my opinion, not starting Big Mac up top, who in a game like this really thrives. And yeah, he come on second half, and don't get me wrong, he wasn't brilliant, but I would have liked to have seen him play from the first whistle, not the second whistle at half time. But in truth, I think everyone struggled today, probably bar Pez, who, bar a few skew whiff passes at times, had a perfect game in between the sticks, to be fair to him. But yeah, obviously, as I mentioned, kind of the main talking point of this game is the Owen Beck red card. Will they get overturned? I don't think it will. I think it's quite blatantly a deliberate kick after the after the whistle has been blown. Whether he goes to kick the ball or whatever is another thing, but the whistle had been blown. He had absolutely no reason to even kick the ball, and I think probably a bit of frustration there. It'd been a cagey match between the two of us, and I think just in general, because I know as a fan I was frustrated watching from the stands that we hadn't really capitalised on 10 men Preston. Owen Beck was probably a bit frustrated as well, and I think he kind of let that frustration out, showed maybe his lack of experience in doing so. And And then obviously what happens after that is disgusting and, biting the back of his neck. And yeah, the referees obviously haven't seen it, which is, it is what it is, I suppose. Yeah, it's obviously, whilst there was a big kerfuffle going on, but that player who's bit Beck on the back of the neck should be condemned by everyone in football, including Preston fans, and just as it was condemned obviously when Suarez did it multiple times, and he should receive a lengthy ban for doing something so stupid. And yeah, like I said, disgusting really. And yeah, whether Beck's reactions after the bite contributed towards his red card, I guess we'll never know, or whether he was just going to receive a red card either way. But like I said, I did feel like the referee was definitely favouring Preston that second half. He mustn't have thought the Greenwood challenge was a red. And I think it was, the way I saw it, he were looking for an excuse to level things back up to 10v10, in my opinion. But yeah, a frustrating one. But like I said, we're not going to win. We're not going to win every game this season. We're not going to be playing brilliantly every game this season. But look how far we've come compared to last year. And, we've played our two rivals on the road now, two of the tougher away games of the season, and we've got 2 points from them. We're still unbeaten, 2 clean sheets in a row. And yeah, you look at those 3 away games, and would you have took 3 points from those 3 away games before we kicked a ball this season? I think you definitely would have. And I think all 3 of the away games we've had have been tough fixtures. Just got to hope now our next away game is Coventry, and they're in a poor vein of form. Let's hope Mark Robins is still manager by that point, and we can pick up a win there. Hopefully, I don't think they've actually won a home game this season. I'm led to believe, but they are down there. But before that, we've got QPR at home, and yeah, I mean, the London teams, generally speaking, struggle coming up north to Ewood, other than Fulham. We don't talk about them, but yeah, generally we do all right against the Southerners, making that long trip. And I'd like to think we beat them, and then, yeah, go on to hopefully beat Coventry. So all is forgotten if we do that. If we get 6 points from the next 2, we'll look back at this Preston result and think it's a good one. But I'm just glad we're still unbeaten. We're still riding a high. We haven't tasted loss yet in the league this season. And who could have thought that before a ball was kicked? Who would have thought that before we'd signed Maktar and Yuki, and there was just a big shadow hanging over the club and such frustration in not signing any players. But yeah, riding the power of positivity right now, I think, and long may it continue. Really good feeling about the club right now. So yeah, make sure to watch the podcast. Not sure when that'll be out, but keep an eye out for that. And also make sure to vote Blackburn Roverseas for the Football Content Awards. We're up for Best Podcast and Best Football League Content Creator or something like that. It's plugged in the podcast we've done. And yeah, the whole family we have here at Roverseas, we've deserved this after, missing out for the past few years. But it's good to finally have some recognition of kind of the hard work that we all put in, but obviously mainly Dirk, who, churns out videos and does all the editing and whatnot. So if you, obviously enjoy our content and, enjoy the videos we put out there for you, and obviously, you get to watch it through YouTube for free. If you could be so generous to give us your vote for the 2 categories we're up for, and then hopefully Dirk can make the trip over to London, and we're going to be representing Blackburn Rovers at the Football Content Awards. So yeah, cheers for watching, guys, and on to QPR at home, and I'm sure I'll have a vlog for you lot for that one.